is Panama City. There's better than 15,300 on hand for this lightweight title of the world, and that is the champion, 20-year-old Roberto Duran, a national hero in his country. And in his corner, Freddie Pacheco, Carlos Saleta, his manager, Ray Arcel, Freddie Brown, some very impressive people as the ring announcer introduces the challenger, Esteban de Jesus, the only man ever to beat the lightweight champion of the world in a non-title fight in 1972. That's de Jesus who knocked Duran down in that fight in the first round. Will he do it today? Will he stop that man right there and take away the lightweight championship from Panama and their big hero, Roberto Duran, pointing now at the challenger, de Jesus.
Oh, boy, is he ready. You can see that pointing, that gesture. That meant I'm getting you, and it won't be long from now. He has an accidental burn on his right cheek. Roberto Duran brings an intensity and a fire into ring, unprecedented in ring history of South America. He's one of the meanest-looking fighters inside the ring, and he means it. You're trying to take his home and his money and his wife when you get in the ring with him, he says. You got to kill him.
Final instructions now by the referee to both of these fighters. Duran with a record of 41-1, including an amazing 33 KOs. De Jesus is equally impressive, 42-1 with 4 draws. It is a big fight. It is revenge in the heart of Duran to stop this man and get back and retain the title that he now holds. And don't let this man who knocked him down do it again. Duran smiling. They do touch gloves. They go to their respective corners. And round 1 is about to get underway in Panama City for the lightweight championship of the world. Roberto Duran against Esteban de Jesus. De Jesus, calm, collected. Duran, hands of stone, ready to come out, looking. And the bell for round 1. And Freddie Pacheco, we're underway, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of action ahead in this scheduled 15-rounder.
There's never been a Duran fight without action. I've never seen this kind of bad fight. Duran is impressive, and so is Esteban, because Esteban knows that he can beat Duran. He's the only man to have done it.
And let's keep in mind, Freddie, that in their last meeting in 72, Duran hit the canvas in the first round, and I wonder if he's thinking about it. He's not going to perhaps let it happen again, as they're both letting the haymakers go here early in the opening seconds of round 1.
I guarantee you he's not thinking about it, because if he got knocked down, he certainly got up, and he certainly kept on fighting. Hands of steel and hands of stone. Either way, he is one of the heaviest punchers for a little man that's ever been seen. Bob, you have to realize they're fighting in a steam bath. It's over 100 degrees here. Both men should not be affected by the heat. They're both from this part of the world, and that kind of heat just starts the action up faster. And the kind of heat that starts it up real fast is the hatred that they feel for each other.
134.5 pounds. What Duran weighed for this title defense. Oh, a great left hook to the chin of Duran. Oh, another one around. Oh, Duran.
Believe it. I can't believe it. He's down from a hook. A perfect hook.
Well, he set him up. He hit him with a great shot just before that. Followed with a right, then came back with the exact same punch, and down went the champion.
But Duran doesn't appear affected. He's right back in business. Now it's up to Esteban to take advantage of this. If he's rocked at all, it's up to de Jesus to step on it, and he's doing it with both hands. One to the head, one to the body. Again, he rocks Duran. Again, Duran locks him in a grip, but he's back right in his face.
Well, Duran not showing any ill effects of that knockdown. He took a standing 8 count, up right away, went down solid, but got up very fast. And they're really mixing it here, Bertie, and the people are on their feet already, and it's only the opening midway of round 1.
They're both exchanging savage hooks. That's toe-to-toe action. Both mean business, but Duran is throwing everything he's got in this punch. De Jesus is a little bit more measured, a little bit cooler about everything. Maybe that's why he got Duran down in the first round. He is absolutely cool about this.
Well, he's not the champion, but he's fighting like one in these early stages because he hurt Duran, and yet he did go out and punch himself out. He's pacing himself, just looking again for that opening. We're not over-anxious.
Which might be a mistake, Bob, because you don't get that many breaks against Duran.
Not a man who has knocked out 33 of 42 opponents. All right, less than 10 seconds now, and a great first round where de Jesus had put Roberto Duran on the canvas. Round as we look at the champion in his corner, and let's look at the action in that round 1.
Now, this is the knockdown. You will see both men trading. There is an overhand right by Duran. Duran is dropping his left. As they come together, they both throw simultaneously. There's a tremendous hook by Esteban de Jesus, almost thrown reflexively, that catches Duran off balance. Doesn't hurt him as much as stings him. He gets up. He doesn't appear to be bothered at all. He's been Freddie Brown and Ray Arcel, two men of the best argument against early retirement I know, working feverishly over Duran. I think Duran's in good shape. Esteban de Jesus in this corner appears cool. They seem to have bought out that bolt of cloth, don't you think? Everyone's got the same material on there in the corner.
Well, if this is any indication of what's ahead for the next 14 rounds, if it goes to schedule 15, do not go away, folks. Just hang right in there as Esteban de Jesus gets ready to come out of his corner, and the champion, with some last-minute instructions from the veteran Ray Arcel, pushes him literally, and Duran kicks something out of the ring. He's aware of where he is and what he's doing. So obviously no ill effects from the knockdown in round one as we move into the opening seconds of round two.
And what a wonderful combination in Duran's corner. Ray Arcel and Freddie Brown can't speak Spanish, and Duran can't speak English, and yet they understand each other. That is some kind of combination in the corner. Again, back to fierce action right as soon as the action starts.
And I don't think the referee's going to have too much problem with these. They're going to fight. If they clinch, they're going to fight themselves out of it.
Fight or bite, one of the two. They really dislike each other, and they're really putting it on. Look at Duran throwing everything he's got. He's got sort of a scowl and a smirk on. Oh, he got hit again. He got hit again with the same left hook.
And again. Well, a tremendous second round, just like the first round, where Duran went down from two great left hooks. He's taken a couple of more shots, Ferdy. But he's still hanging in there and still battling back against this game challenger. Oh, almost went down to Jesus from the same punch that put Duran down in round one. A devastating left hook.
The difference between these two fighters is Duran is fighting with a great deal of heat and intensity and hatred, and Esteban de Jesus is fighting coolly. He's just trying to measure him and get those shots in. So far, he's been able to get them in, but he's like a man trying to fight off an avalanche.
I tell you what, they're lightweights, but they're throwing heavyweight bombs. And the crowd loves it. They're up on their feet, all 15,000 of them.
It's on the second round, and they're still up on their feet from the first round. It has been that kind of a fight so far. Lightning-like action from these two men and heavy punching.
Now, this is almost like a street, like a back alley brawl, Ferdy. They just let everything hang out, let it go. I'll take my shots, you take yours.
Beautiful thing about Duran is he doesn't forget to punch to the body. While he's headhunting, he still has time to go down and do his homework. That's going to tell.
Less than a minute to go now in round two, and they are still not letting up, both fighters. The challenger with his back to you, now being pushed against the rope by the champion, the lightweight champion, Roberto Duran, fighting in his hometown before a very partisan crowd of better than 15,000.
And this is a grudge fight in every way. You can look at the inside punching done by Duran. Duran is almost without any caution at all coming in. That's why he got nailed. De Jesus able to pinpoint some right hands and left hooks. Duran shaking them off and coming on.
We've seen, Ferdy, more punches thrown, I think, in these two rounds than we see sometimes in 10 rounds with other fighters. Look at this, not letting up. Toe-to-toe, both fighters. The champion facing now, the challenger, De Jesus, with his back to is going after him. Less than 10 seconds remaining in round two, and it's been non-stop action for almost 6 minutes now as we wind down, and that is about the end of round two. Come for round three.
A barn burner so far, and it doesn't show any signs of letting up. Roberto only knows how to come forward. De Jesus in a fighting retreat, pinpointing his punches, being very accurate, being very cool as you can be with a madman in front of you like Roberto Duran.
You got to remember that since the subsequent loss to De Jesus by Duran, he had won 30 straight, 25 of those 30 by knockout. And that's what he's trying to do here, as the local hero gets the people once again out of their seats in Panama City. As we said, tremendous heat, Ferdy, and the way these fellows are going at it, these two fighters, these two, the champion and the challenger, who could almost, is fighting like he's the champion. You wonder, can they keep this pace up in the mid-90-degree temperatures in Panama?
Well, it'd be difficult to predict that. It's so difficult to fight so hard with this kind of heat. Only the emotion of the moment, only the emotion of fighting before his hometown crowd is going to fuel Duran to keep on going. What's going to help Esteban de Jesus, I really don't know.
Well, they're both youngsters. That was a great left by de Jesus, much like the punch to put him down in the first round.
Tremendous hooks by de Jesus, but a tremendous body and head attack by Roberto Duran.
Well, these punches are coming from everywhere. Perhaps one thing that might overcome the heat, Bertie, is the fact that de Jesus is at 22 years old and Duran, the champion, just a youngster at 20. They're both youngsters, but one just 2 years younger than the other. Perhaps they'll be able to stand up because of the youthfulness of both of these. And great punches, both fighters scoring here in round 3. This is scheduled for 15, but at this point, Bertie, it hardly looks like it could go 5, never mind 15.
Incredible action. All through this action, you notice that de Jesus is trying to land his haymaker, but Roberto, while working up, is also coming down. That is to say, while working to the head, he is also not neglecting the body. That's got to kill de Jesus' legs as this fight progresses. They're both taking an awful lot of punishment.
Well, one thing for sure, they don't have glass jaws, that's for sure, because they've taken enough good shots to the head that could knock out most fighters.
A remarkable performance for you. Oh, what a tremendous one, too, by Roberto Duran.
Well, here comes the challenger. Just comes through it all and comes right back counter-punching, going right after the champion, showing no respect for him at all. As we come under 30 seconds in round 3, what you called earlier, appropriately so, a barn burner.
And that's what it is. Duran is not budging. I don't think he would move from the middle of the ring if they let him. He just wants to stay right there and have more of the same. Oh, look at that action. Look at that action. How can de Jesus stand there?
Less than 10 seconds, and the people are on their feet once again as we count down the seconds. Round 3 about to come. Another exciting round in Panama City. For round 4. Both fighters here a little bit cautious, but not for long, as they go to a clinch and they have to be parted. Well, not parted, just the referee gives them a little slap on the back, and away they go. They're there to fight. They're not there to clinch or talk or dance. They're there to fight, as we've seen through the first 3 rounds, as we are in the opening moments of round 4 from Panama City.
I think this is the first round we see a little bit of intimidation on the part of Esteban de Jesus. He did not come out to stand in the middle of the ring and trade with Duran. He came out, boxed a little bit, is content to stay outside now, as if saying, let's just cool it for a round and let's see what happens before we start again. No one can keep up this pace. No one can keep up this pace in 100-degree heat for 15 rounds.
You're seeing a little bit of everything here, Ferdy. You're not just seeing jabs and dancing. You're seeing haymakers. You're seeing hooks, uppercuts, roundhouse rights, lefts, body punches.
What you're really seeing here, Bob, is 2 champions in action, because either man could be a champion in his division without any trouble. They're clearly head and shoulders above anybody else in the division, and they're fighting each other. That's what makes great boxing. The 2 best fighters in the division, with a great deal of animosity between both of them, and they're going to settle it in this ring. And Duran right now is a man that's taking psychological charge of Esteban de Jesus. Esteban de Jesus is still trying to fight an intelligent fight, whereas Duran is ready to fight a street fight. There they go, back into their alley fighting routine, trading punches, trading hooks. Duran's a punching machine. There's no way you can get away from Duran. For every 2 or 3 shots that he lands, Esteban comes back with a scientifically placed hook. But it's not going to be enough as this fight wears on. You can't trade 3-1 with Roberto Duran and expect to come out even.
Less than a minute now in round 4. The action not really slowing down very much, Ferdy. A little bit of holding inside by de Jesus to slow down the Panamanian champion, Roberto Duran.
Very little thought of defense on Duran's part. Duran just wants to punch. What a fighting machine Duran is.
30 seconds remaining in round 4. And the referee telling the fighters to perhaps keep their punches up a little bit. But the way they're throwing, Ferdy, I don't think there's nothing intentionally. They just flare away, and where they land, they land. If they're low, oh, a good left that comes under the chin of Esteban and straightens him up a little bit, and he goes to holding on. Less than 10 seconds now, Ferdy, in round 4. Coming to an end. It's been exciting. What you've been seeing is what's been going on for 4 rounds. And that is about it for round 4. It's being thrown by the champion and also on the chin of that man, Esteban de Jesus, the challenger. Both fighters apparently unmarked as they come out for round 5.
Now let us see if Esteban de Jesus can reestablish himself. He lost some momentum in that last round. There's no question Roberto Duran is beginning to intimidate him, beginning to make him fight purely a counter-punch fight. It has become Roberto Duran's fight to take. It is a street fight.
Good left hook. I tell you what, I'd hate to be scoring this thing because there's so many punches being thrown, and perhaps maybe, if anything, maybe de Jesus has a slight edge because he knocked Duran down for a standing 8 count in the first round. We are in round 5. It is scheduled for 15 for the lightweight championship of the world.
I have a feeling that scorecards are going to be relatively academic in this fight.
Well, you got to feel that with the partisan crowd of better than 15,000 and the champion fighting in his own backyard, so to speak, that if it's close, Esteban must know going in that it's going to go to the champion. The title will remain in Panama if that is the situation.
I'm sure you're right, Bob. And that is a tremendous handicap to come in to face a Roberto Duran with. That's why they use international judges, but still, you are intimidated by the crowd, intimidated by the surroundings, and there is a slight edge no matter how much anybody says there isn't.
Well, the action's slowing down just a bit from what it had been, and just as I say that, here they come again, and both of them letting go with big punches. But going to the clinches a little bit more, perhaps just really the pace not in the heat, the mid-90-degree temperatures in Panama City, getting to the fighters a little bit here midway through round 5.
They can't possibly keep up the pace of the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Well,
they now have to box a little bit. It's curious if people don't attribute to Roberto Duran the speed of hand that he has. Because he's such a heavy puncher, they think he's slow of hand, yet he's very rapid. Most of the time beating Esteban de Jesus to the punch, and Esteban de Jesus is fast.
Less than a minute now in round 5. Scheduled for 15. However, many felt that although Duran was the favorite going in, that it wouldn't go the limit. I wonder what the strategy is now that perhaps they're more on top of one another. De Jesus seems to be burying his head into the chest of Duran and maybe perhaps limiting his punching power a little bit, getting on top of him more, maybe to work inside like he's doing there.
When you got 2 fighters like this, when they come back to the corner, you keep it short and simple. You say to him, knock this guy out. And that's the only instruction that Roberto understands.
Or don't let him knock you out.
You never say that. Never put that in a fighter's mind. He's never tired, and he's never going to get knocked out.
Less than 10 seconds now in round 5, perhaps the slowest round of this fight, which has been exciting from round 1. So that's about it, Bertie. And out comes the champion in the green trunks, Roberto Duran, in the blue and white striped trunks on your left of the picture. Now moving in front of the champion is Esteban de Jesus,
who all of a sudden has decided to turn boxer and starting to move around on his toes. I mean, he certainly cannot stand and fight Roberto Duran's fight. That was all right in the first few rounds to establish his macho image, but now it's back to what works for him, which is he is a very fine boxer. He's great on his toes. He's great at out-jabbing people. He hasn't tried that yet. This is the first round. He tries it. Let's see what happens. He's tried putting it toe-to-toe. He's tried to fight inside. He's tried to take it right inside to Roberto. Oh, the action heats up. Now let's see what happens when he tries to box him.
Well, it's hard to visualize these 2 guys trying to box one another because, the good right by de Jesus, grazing the chin of Duran, and he follows it up with a couple of jabs to the face. That time threw both of his hands out at the same time de Jesus did.
It's very unnerving to fight Roberto Duran also. As he throws those hard punches, he yelps. It's a little yelp like an Indian used to do in an Indian attack, and it is really disconcerting after a few rounds of hearing that yelping going on and knowing that a thunderous punch is going to come behind that yelp.
Well, there's quite a few yelps coming from the bipartisan fans in Panama City. Although perhaps with the heat, they're getting a little worn out also.
You see what happens to a man when he tries to box with Duran. Duran eventually cuts the distance, gets in with his superior speed, and gets to what he's doing best, fighting inside. That's where he likes to fight. He's a barroom brawler. He's an alley brawler. He is a fighter.
Well, Duran, on your right, the champion, being separated by the referee. Never stops, just keeps coming in. We're in round 6.
Esteban still trying to stay out if he can. Landed a nice right hand. Every once in a while, Esteban connects with beautiful punches, but they don't seem to bother Duran, who just smiles, that wicked smile, that smirk, and comes right in again.
Intimidating grin of the champion.
I haven't seen anything that evilly smirmy since the movies. Oh, what a tremendous left hook by Esteban de Jesus. Another left hook by de Jesus as Roberto fights back with both hands.
Tremendous left hook, perhaps wiping some of that grin off the champion's face.
Yeah, I was thinking of Richard Widmark when I said that.
Less than 30 seconds now. Remember, despite the fact that Duran is the champion, this is the man, only man to defeat him, and he knocked him down, de Jesus did, in round 1 here, as much the same as he did when he beat him back in 1972, also knocking him down in round 1.
I think the difference is that he's fighting in Panama, and so far I have Roberto Duran ahead.
And that's the way it's going to be for 6 rounds from Panama City. A little bit wary as the round 6 entered, and he sort of lumbered back to his corner.
Has every right to be tired, as we will see in this replay. You watch Duran's eyes, those black burning coals, as he looks at them, fixes them, anticipates, punch with both hands. Here comes the other hand, and Esteban grabs on for dear life and says, hold it. 3 punches is enough.
That was a look at the action in round 6. As we look at the challenger getting refreshed, and although he looks fairly refreshed, perhaps his legs aren't, and more water coming over in that intense heat in Panama City as we get ready for the start of round 7. It is scheduled for 15. 1 knockdown thus far. Roberto Duran hitting the canvas for taking a mandatory 8 count in round 1. And that's the bell as we move into round number 7.
I agree with you, Bob. He showed great signs of weariness as he came back to the corner. He just did not come back in a responsive fashion. He could barely wait to get to the corner and sit down. Now he's back out bouncing around on his toes again and trying to keep that distance away from the hammering fist of Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran pursuing relentlessly, not giving him any time to get set, and dying to get into where the fighting is hard.
The opening moments of round 7. Tremendous records by both of these fighters. 1 defeat each. Duran's at the hand of the man you see now in the striped trunks, Esteban de Jesus. Fighting against all the odds. Fighting before better than 15,000. All of whom, no doubt, are for their national hero, Roberto Duran. We are through round 7, part of it anyway. And Ferdy, I think the pace is sort of laid down a little bit here.
It has to lay down, Bob. No 2 human beings can continue at that accelerated a pace. There are hills and valleys, mountains and dales to go through in boxing. There's no way that you can keep that up.
Well, de Jesus on your right now with his back to you. He wants that title. He's beaten this man before, and he must feel he can do it again. But I'm sure that Roberto Duran has other plans for the challenger.
Roberto Duran is stalking him. He's measuring him, and he's waiting for that one opening which will spell the end of Duran.
Oh, good right there. Good right by Duran. Just to the side, the left side of the face of the challenger, de Jesus, who now holds the left hand, as you can see him there, of Duran. Comes back with a couple of punches to the head by de Jesus.
Referee doing an exceptional job of not interfering with these 2 fighters. The first time he's had to separate them in a long time. And oh, does Esteban look weary.
He's weary, but he just missed a couple of haymakers.
But Roberto didn't. Every time he missed, oh, Roberto just dropped him. He just dropped him with that clubbing right hand. He looked too weary. He was taking too many. He doesn't look hurt, but he sure looks tired.
Well, just when we thought it was slowing down, but you can't slow down against Duran because he's relentless. He does not let up on you. Now let's see if the champion goes in for the kill. He's trying, but here comes the challenger fighting right back.
He's got plenty of time with 30 seconds to put him away.
But can he put him away? That remains to be seen as we count down here in round 7. The referee separating them. Duran anxious to get in and see if he can end it here. And once again remain the lightweight championship of the world. Less than 15 seconds, 10 seconds now, and counting down in round 7. De Jesus down momentarily, but Duran is not able to finish him off, and he will not do it here in round 7. And we ought to take a look at that punch that put him down.
And you're wondering why they're doing this to his eye. Did he get But what is all this pressure to the eye all of a sudden? I don't see a cut. I don't see any swelling. What is happening here?
Well, it's just a little. Yes, there is. There's a nick under his left eye there.
Freddie Brown putting the cut stuff on there. There must be something on there. There is. There's a little nick under the eye of the champion.
Okay, here's a look at that punch that put the Jesus down.
These are clubbing punches. A punch to the body with the left. A jab, a right hand right behind the ear that put him down.
More or less stunned him a little bit more than it was a... But this is what is the big thing here, except for the knockdown. What has he got under his eye here? A little bit of a mouse?
He's got a mouse and a cut. He's been doing the punching, and he's the one that got cut.
Okay, the bell for round 8, and off we go here for the lightweight championship of the world in the heat of Panama City.
And it's got to give Esteban some heart to see that little cut under his eye, because he can work on that and open it up. And he's got problems, although he's got probably one of the finest corner men in the world to take care of that cut.
One thing about the cut, Ferdy, it's not as serious being below the eye as it would be if it was an inch higher.
And another thing, Roberto has not got a history of cuts. He's got one of the finest skin in the world. He doesn't cut. And these little nicks don't develop anything with Roberto.
But what he does is he cuts you. And that's what he's trying to do now. He's trying to not only cut this challenger, he's trying to cut him down and put him away.
But look at the way Esteban keeps his head right into Roberto's face, hoping that anything can happen to open it up. Roberto, look at his stance. Look how wide his arms, his legs are. He is trying to get leverage. He's trying to get everything into every punch. And if he can't put him out, at least he'll hurt him so bad that he'll get him the next round.
Well, I think there's no question that perhaps trailing in the early rounds, at least through the first 3, now here in round 8, the champion is coming on and taking control of this fight over a king, but apparently right now outclassed challenger Esteban de Jesus.
He has almost no way to overcome this kind of advantage with Roberto Duran. When Roberto Duran gets this much on top of a fighter, he will not stop. He keeps going. He is like a man, as I said, in a cabin, waiting for the avalanche to fall on top of him. He's just fighting and waiting for the finish.
Well put, Ferdy. He's trying to finish him right here if he can in round 8. It's scheduled for 15. Each fighter has been down on the canvas, but only momentarily. Duran down from 2 solid left hooks in the first round, and now here in round 7, the previous round, Duran put de Jesus, the challenger, down from a good right hand behind the ear. Less than a minute remaining here in round 8.
Esteban getting weaker and weaker, and Duran getting stronger and stronger. As Duran senses a kill, his punches have more zip and more vitality to them, and they come in bunches. They don't come one at a time. Now look at Duran's stance. He is ready to punch hard. In the meantime, in the corner, if you look at the right-hand corner of your screen, you can see all of that water. It looks like a lake down there. He's now, Esteban, stepping in the lake. That means he can slip and fall, and that is the danger of using so much water in the corner.
He could almost drown.
He might drown if he steps fully into it.
30 seconds, less than 30 seconds now remaining in round 8. Tremendous action from Panama City in tremendous heat. Temperatures approaching 100 degrees. Less than 10 seconds. And they're apart and they come together again. Duran on the pursuit once again as round 8 is about to come to an end. The bell coming up momentarily to start round 9, and more water, Ferdy, going pouring. It's like a waterfall over Esteban de Jesus.
I'm wondering where they're getting all that water. They must have a
wondering if he
garden
can
hose.
swim.
I hope he's got a snorkel. I can't believe all that water's being poured. That's exhausting to a fighter. Although they're trying to cool him off, they're not doing him any favors, believe me. And that corner is so slippery now that if he ever gets back into that corner and gets backed up by Duran, he has a lot of trouble with traction. He may get nailed.
Okay, as you can see, better than 15,000 is what the gate is, and they are on their feet as we get ready for round number 9. Last minute advice being put on that man right there, 20-year-old lightweight champion of the world, Roberto Duran. We're in Panama City. It is hot, and it is a hot fight, to put it mildly. The bell for round 9, and here we go.
Esteban slow in getting up. Slow. Those pants are full of water. They're all soggy. He's not in a hurry to get up. And certainly Roberto was in the middle of the round. He's ready to take care of business. Roberto Duran is ready to finish this anytime. I don't know why they bothered to sell seats to this fight. Everybody's been standing up for the last 4 or 5 rounds.
Well, they're loving every minute, and so are we, Purdy.
Who could not love Roberto Duran? You're seeing maybe one of the finest fighters of the last 10 years. Certainly since Muhammad Ali came down the pike, this is the only man that can challenge him for greatness.
Well, they say, Purdy, that pound for pound, there's no better fighter in the world. Maybe there never has been. That's what they used to say about Sugar Ray Robinson. And, of course, you're familiar with him, and as are many, many fans. But this is a man that has a lot of similarities. A great counter-puncher. Can put you out with one punch. Relentless, never stopping, always going right on top of his opponent as he is right here. Forcing the fight. Oh, and he takes a great shot by De Jesus as he walks in there, trying to put him away.
Roberto Duran is in the classic tradition of the great fighters. Sugar Ray Robinson, in my estimation, one of the finest fighters that ever lived, maybe the finest fighter except for Muhammad Ali. Had everything. He had class, he had style, he had defense, he had offense.
Had everything but a mouth. That's the only thing Ali had on him was a mouth, a big mouth.
The publicity angle is something else, but in the ring, there was no one like Sugar Ray Robinson. The greats like Joe Louis, all of those great fighters from the 30s. Roberto Duran has qualities of each one.
And here you're talking about a fighter that's only 20 years old, and you're comparing him with some of the greats of all time, the Robinsons, as you said, the Lewises and the Alis. Shows you what
Henry
a great
Armstrong,
fighter he is.
Harry Greb, all of those maulers, fighters, the men that stood right in front of you like he's doing now. He knows he's got this man in charge. He is punishing him. He is taking it to him. He is saying, you knock me down, I'm going to make you pay for that. And poor Esteban has nowhere to hide.
Less than a minute now in round 9 as Duran takes a nice straight right to the chin that stops his momentum momentarily. Good uppercut inside. Always working, despite the fact that De Jesus wraps his arms around him to stop the punching power of the lightweight champion of the world, Roberto Duran. Spins De Jesus around and catches him off balance and puts 2 or 3 good shots on him. You got to stay in there all the time. You got to be awake. You can't turn your head for 1 minute away from this guy.
It's protect yourself at all times for Roberto Duran. He needs to get all 3 minutes of fighting in there. He doesn't want to pardon you for one little slip.
He'd like to hit you when you're on your stool between rounds if he had a chance.
He doesn't like water that much. I don't think he'd get in there.
Okay, less than 30 seconds now. Less than 20 in round 9. Duran just standing back and poised there with the right hand cocked, ready to land the haymakers. Less than 10 seconds. And they're counting down now. And round 9 is history in this lightweight championship. Scheduled for 15. We are still in Panama City for the lightweight championship of the world. And here's a look at the action in round 9, Purdy.
You can see the way that Duran uses both his hands. He's never off balance. He's never in a position where he cannot throw a punch. And that wears you out. You know you won't have a moment's respite in here. He is trying to hold one glove of Duran's, and he's getting killed with the other glove. That's perfectly legal. One hand free, you can do anything you want to.
Okay, the bell about to sound for round 10. The crowd still on their feet. 15,300 of them, and they are selling. Literally pushes once again Duran out. The referee sending now De Jesus back, perhaps to clean off some of the, what do they got, grease on him?
You got a lot of water on him is what they've got, and they want to clean him off. He's so full of water and slippery that it's really dangerous to do that. It really should not be allowed. All of that inundation, that watery cascade that falls on him, that should not be allowed. Look at Duran's corner, how relatively dry it is. I mean, it just shouldn't be allowed. It's not good for the fighter.
Not only that, it's dangerous because one fighter to fight, he could slip in that water and it could cost him a shot to the head that could put him away.
It could literally cost him the title.
Okay, we are in round 10. The opening moments of round 10, and Duran still on the pursuit of the challenger, Esteban De Jesus, with his back to you now.
And even at long range, Duran seems to land those left hands.
Oh, good uppercut coming by the challenger, and he holds the right hand again. I'm surprised that the referee is not, taking him more to task for doing that, knocking the hands down.
Roberto is so impressive in this that you don't realize how much fighting this Esteban De Jesus is doing. Esteban is doing a lot of fighting. It seems to be, we're listening to the commentary, it's all Roberto Duran, but he's landing some significant shots in there. It's just that Duran won't be stopped. It doesn't make any difference to him. He just keeps coming in.
He doesn't know what the word weary or arm weary means, this Duran.
He certainly doesn't.
A right-left combination. He does everything you'd expect a fighter.
He fights with joy. He fights with brio. He fights with strength. To him, it's the best moment of his life when he's fighting.
And I'll tell you this, Purdy, if you ever see him work out in the gym, he's the same way.
Absolutely. He said inside that Those ropes, that's his office. I don't care if it's a preliminary kid or an amateur. If they get in with me, they got to expect to be in with Roberto Duran.
It's more than his office. It's his home.
It's everything to Roberto
It's his
Duran.
private domain. Roberto Duran in the green trunks with the gold stripe. On your left now. And Esteban de Jesus.
Credit to be given to Esteban de Jesus. He has had some kind of punishment in this fight. He's still in there fighting. He's weary. He's tired, but he's in there fighting and trying for that one shot that would knock out Roberto Duran. Roberto grinning again at him, that wolfish leer. It is incredible how he seems to make faces at him, then come back and punish him with 3 or 4 terrific punches.
Talk about terrific punches as we move on to 30 seconds. It's amazing, despite each fighter being knocked down once, Duran in the first round and then de Jesus later on, that both fighters are literally unmarked. We saw that slight mouse 2 rounds ago under Duran's left eye. Oh, and he took a great right from Esteban de Jesus, just what you were talking about as we count down now, less than 10 seconds remaining here in round 10. Remember, it's scheduled for 15. A lot didn't think it would go this far. 72. Still perhaps looking a little bit wary and slowing down, certainly not keeping up the pace he had in earlier rounds.
And the surprise of this fight, the surprise of this evening has been the ability of Esteban de Jesus to take that incessant punishment from a heavy punching Manos de Piedra, Duran. I mean, I don't know who could take that kind of shot and keep coming on as he's done. I cannot see this fight going to a decision at the end. There's just too much heavy body punishment going on by Duran. There's too much intimidation going on by Duran, and he's getting stronger, whereas Esteban de Jesus is getting weaker. Now look at this wolf. He's ready to go. His hair is back. Even looks like the Wolfman.
Hey, the bell has sounded for round 11. And as we said all through this fight, even in the 3rd and 4th rounds, many thought it wouldn't even go this far. Oh, and that little right there thrown by Roberto Duran, the champion, too. And coming at him, and he knocks him down. To the canvas goes the challenger, Esteban de Jesus.
He's down from a right hand. The count is being picked up. He looks like he's not getting up. He's sitting down there very comfortable. He's not getting up. He cannot. It's all over. It's over. They have awarded it to Roberto Duran. He keeps his title. Roberto Duran, the victor in his hometown in Panama. And half of Panama is crawling into the ring with Roberto Duran.
Still the lightweight class challenger, Esteban de Jesus. Ferdy, here's a look at it.
You see a series of punches here, none of which look as heavy as he's been taken before. I think just Esteban de Jesus has reached the end of his limitation. There's 2 hooks, a 3rd hook. Now comes a 4th hook and a right hand, and that does it.
Ferdy, what I want to ask you real quickly is here why the punch didn't seem that powerful or that devastating compared to the punches he had taken throughout the first 10 rounds. Why? Does it just fatigue? What is it?
I agree with you, Bob. I think Esteban de Jesus just has had enough, and he can't take any more.
Well, that's the way it finished in Panama City in the heat. A very hot champion, Roberto Duran, being surrounded by his bipartisan followers of better than 15,000. So now 34 KOs in 43 fights and still the lightweight champion of the world, Roberto Duran.
So Roberto Duran exacts revenge over Esteban de Jesus by knocking him out in the 11th round, retains the lightweight championship, and a stunning conclusion to the fight, because I thought in the 10th round de Jesus looked pretty good.
He did look strong in that fight, and I think what may have happened is it was just an accumulation of the body shots that Duran hit him with, the pace of the fight, which was very quick, and eventually all that got to Esteban de Jesus.
Do you think that maybe de Jesus really let a golden opportunity get away early in the fight because he had Duran down? Certainly he came in with that confidence. He didn't really capitalize on the fact.
He did hurt Duran. He had him down, but I think that is indicative of the genius of Duran in the ring. He was hurt, but he was able to fight very well defensively and launch enough of an attack to keep de Jesus off him. And remember, de Jesus knew the firepower in Duran's hands, and so he was a little leery to just wade in and try and knock him out.
Great to look back and to see Roberto Duran in his prime, to see how tough he was, how intimidating he was, how hard he punched.
You know, we forget that. We forget about how quick his hands were, how busy a fighter he was. You know, in recent times, as you alluded to, we've seen him in a different pace. But at that time, Roberto Duran was just so quick, and he was the hands of stone, and maybe the hands of lightning, too. He was so fast.
Now, for Esteban de Jesus, he was almost a lightweight at the wrong time because he really didn't get his proper recognition, because here was an outstanding lightweight who was really superseded by the outstanding Roberto Duran.
In the 70s, had there been no Roberto Duran, it's possible Esteban de Jesus might have dominated that division himself. He later would get he would win the WBC title later on after this fight, have a unification bout against Duran and lose it. But de Jesus, a fine lightweight in the 70s, but not in the class of Roberto Duran.
Okay, another look back at an outstanding fight in recent boxing history. Hope you enjoyed it. Roberto Duran knocking out Esteban de Jesus in their lightweight championship bout. For Al Bernstein, this is Sam Rosen. Thanks for being with us on Superbouts.
Maybe I should have a look and see if anything's wrong with this engine. Gee, that engine reacted just like my mirror did this morning.
What's going on? Nice going, Yuck. You hooked a big one.
Yeah, the catch of the day.